Good, everybody. How's everybody doing? I'm just like writing back in the chat to everybody in the building. What's up, Evolving Butterfly? What up, sis? Valerie, how you doing? How you doing? How's right now you in the sixth grade? How's sixth grade treating you? And what's up, mommy? Mommy's in the building. We got Black Light Revelations. Yeah, this is a spur of the moment live, bro. Spur of the moment live. I saw a video that this brother did, and I was like, you know what? Let me respond to a little bit of the video. So I wasn't going to go live, but I figured let me go live about this. All right. Thank you guys, everybody, for watching. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much. You could be doing anything else, but you're watching this. So thank you so much. If you have not done so yet, smash that like button. How everybody else says it, it costs you nothing. So hit that like button. And if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification next to it. So it'll let you know when I upload new videos or go live like I did today. Spur of the moment live. All right. And yeah, I want to talk about this. And you know, like he has a huge following, so I'm not sure if people are going to be like, what does Dre have to say about this dude now? Here he is coming at another brother in the manosphere. Oh, snap. I got a super chat. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you so much. I'm just trying to learn, and as I learn, give the information that I learn. I'm a lifelong learner, a lifelong student, so I'm just trying to disseminate what I receive. That's it. I love how you use the camera angles. Oh, thank you, thank you, sis. I learned this from Ruslan. Ruslan, if you're watching this, shout out to you. If you have not subscribed to Ruslan's channel, go to Ruslan KD, Ruslan KD. He's been like a silent mentor when it comes to this kind of video setup. I don't quite have the aesthetics he does, but I don't think I need that. Yeah, definitely got the camera angles from him and from Trey Van Camp. So shout out to you guys for doing what you're doing on YouTube and allowing me to get some inspiration. That's my mother. That's actually my mother, Valerie. No, that's Gloria Harrison is my mom. She watches all my live stream. So thank you so much, Mom, for being such a supportive factor in my life. I appreciate it. All right. So without further ado, let's get into this, right? Some of you guys may have heard of the Roommates podcast, now called The Roommates. Popular podcast that promote manhood and things like that, right? And I followed the Roommates podcast for a couple of years, maybe 2-3 years ago. I thought to myself, oh, snap, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Live at work with work on the screen. Thank you so much. Right? Yeah. He's actually Armenian. Yeah, Armenian. He's a great streamer. You have shared his videos before. Yeah. Christian critiques, male contact. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's definitely him. Yeah, good brother. Humble. Him too. Like I watched him grow. Like he's grown a lot, and even how he interacts with his audience. I watch how he's grown, and actually, I'm going to talk a little bit about how Hafeez from the Roommates podcast and how he's grown, because a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, here's this nice young two brothers who are out there trying to uplift their peers, and I'm like, okay, I can get with this. But there was a season, and I'm not sure if Hafeez, you're watching this. I got like 5,000 subscribers. You got like 500,000 subscribers. You're probably never going to watch this, but if you do, I'll talk to you as if I was talking to you. A couple of years ago, you had me worried, bro. No, actually, maybe a couple of months ago, about a year ago, you had me worried, bro. You was on something else, bro. Like I was like, whoa. It was so serious that I had to unsubscribe from the Roommates, because I was like, a couple of years ago, there was like a little bit of humility there. And it seemed like, bro, and I'm being honest, I'm not trying to attack, but based on what I was seeing on the videos, the rants you were doing, I was like, bro, like you're dealing with some humility issues. And yeah, I don't know if I can rock with this anymore, because I started to hear anger come out of this brother. I started to hear belittling and all that stuff from the very men that he was trying to uplift. And I was like, dag. He even said something like, about his time and how people don't want to adhere to his advice, and what he has is valuable, and how people pay for his advice and he's giving it for free. And if you don't want to listen to it, I don't got time for you. And that rant, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to unsubscribe from this channel, because I'm all about positivity, and I'm pretty sure Hafeez is also, and he's a young brother. He's a Christian as well. But I was like, yeah, this is different. Like, this isn't the Hafeez that I subscribe to, who's doing the interviews, who has a light that he wants to share. There was darkness, and I was like, yeah. And maybe he was at a point where we all get to points in our lives where we're stressed out, and sometimes that stress come out in our content, and I get that. So again, I'm not here to attack the brother. Like, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm not attacking him. Actually, I'm gonna give him his flowers while he's alive and well enough to smell it. But this brother grew a lot, and I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him. Hafeez, if you watch this, I'm proud of you, because I'm an older guy, like, and I've been doing, and as others would tell it, I'm just like new to this, but I've been doing fatherhood work, manhood work, work with youth for over 20 years now. I just haven't been doing it on YouTube. So some people say, well, who are you? And then they judge me based on my subscribers. I don't care if I'm judged on my subscribers, like the lives that I've touched in real life, people that I actually see and am able to touch. That's what really matters. But I've been doing this for the better part of 20 years. And now I'm using my YouTube channel to help promote positivity in this space of manhood. And Hafeez has really grown in that area and is doing his thing. Like, the brother is doing his thing. And he just did an interview with Stephen Lavarsiere, Stefan Lavarsiere. I forgot his name, but yeah, man, I was really impressed with a segment that he actually shared, because in a space now where there's men in the Manosphere and the Red Pill who are building content around bashing women, Hafeez tends to have a more balanced approach to genders and the problems within it. So he's not about attacking women, telling them, what he feels, but he's also willing to come at men as well, which I appreciate. So there's a balance there. And that's where I see the growth happening. CQX podcast says, I remember that point in time. That was around the time when he was on Fresh and Fit pod, and he had a lot of guys that he was training that weren't taking his advice. Yeah, exactly. About that time. And the rant had me a little sideways. I was like, yeah, man, I don't know. Let me unsubscribe, because I don't want to have that kind of energy. But I had to resubscribe, and there's a couple of reasons why I had to resubscribe from the Young Brothers channel. Like we talked about, he's doing his thing. Yeah, he's doing his thing. Actually, I went back after we talked, that Christian Fam channel, to go back and look at his videos, and I was like, yo, he's grown so much. Like, the brother has grown, not just in his concepts and his ideas, but even his mannerisms and his personality. Yeah. You have 5K subs now, but won't be too long before you have 500K subs. Many who start small go up, but only some of them stay up, and even fewer who stay up for a long time. I received that. Thank you so much for a long time. Hopefully I get to that point where I'm able to have a reach of that many people, and hopefully be able to add positivity to the lives of 500,000 people. Like, that would be dope. Life is all about growth. Where we at? I know I just saw it. Life is all about growth and evolution. Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to show you guys a clip, right? I'm going to speed it up because for some reason, reactions are now starting to get like copyright strikes and all that. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Hopefully I don't get strike. But even if I do, and this video is not able to be monetized, can care less, because I really want, I want to shine. I want to give flowers to people who deserve it. And their channel have grown throughout the year. I remember I was subscribed to them when they only had a couple of dozen thousand, like maybe 50, 60,000 subscribers. And now they're doing very well. But I'm telling you, like, he's doing his thing. What's up, E Black and Deborah I don't want to say your name. Deborah Priya Dederoy. I have a feeling you will be one of the few who will stay up when you reach there. I hope so. I hope so. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Speak it into existence. Yeah, and E Black is here. What's going on, bro? What's going on? All right, so let's show you this video and listen to how he gives this information and how balanced it is. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. They don't monetize your videos. Video, it's all good. That's why we're super chatting. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. All right, now I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, it happens out. Just listen, man, because he really is growing, and I'm so proud of this brother, and I want him to keep going. I wish success upon him, and I want him to keep going. But check it out.
No, that's good, and that's where I wanted to start this conversation with.
And let me know if you can hear it.
I did a video a couple of months ago called "Women Today Are No Longer Marriageable," and it got me in how my videos get me into. And I made a point that I believe is true in that moment, and I realize it's not true universally. And I made that point that there are men who are putting in the work, who are improving, who are getting better, who are really succeeding in life, and they're struggling with finding women who are there, who they want.
I will say this: since he's been hitting the gym, every single time he's on like his live streams, his shirt is open. Hafeez, what's up, bro? Like, why? But it up.
Want to be with. Mm-hmm. But what I realized, in all honesty, later on was those guys are the exception; they're not the rule. Mm. And what I saw happen was all the guys who watched that video thought they were that guy.
Yeah.
All the guys.
Now, listen to what he's saying, right? He said that he put up a video saying about women being marriageable, right? And he's saying how the people responding, the men responding to the video aren't marriageable themselves, right? Listen to what he's saying. And I'm glad that he's able to get to the point where he's able to share the balance and the flip side to it. Check this out.
Guys who watched that video thought they were the guy I'm describing, because my problem is that my friends are not the normal guys. Because we did it when we're talking to Jess. I was showing them like college graduates and black men. And I believe the numbers were, I think 33% of black men are college graduates. But in my world, I think 99% of my friends are college graduates. Mm-hmm. So in my world, I think, oh, everyone graduates college. But in reality, that's a minority, not the majority. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I looked at you, looked at me, Chris, Francis, John Mark, Cortez, all my friends, Zach Richardson. I was like, yo, and I was talking you in that video with those guys in mind, and then the guys on Patreon, like the great guys on Patreon who were actually putting the work. But I realized that too many guys were like at their mom's house, you know what I mean, out of shape, be like, yeah, that's like a marriageable. I'm like, no.
Listen, yo, when I heard this, I was like, bro, all right, bro. Now he's exposing something within a space that needs to be exposed. The bashing of women by men who are not even close to being in a place to be desired by the women that they're bashing. Come on. And I'm glad that, because all due respect to Kevin Samuels, right? He exploded after building content that exposed women's, and I'm gonna say delusional ideas about themselves, right? And how it compares to the men that they want. And he was in a place where he was about to go there in that same direction. And shout out to that Christian fam for the super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right? Are you talking? I'm sorry, bro. I'll see if I can slow it down a little bit. But he was going in that direction at the same direction as Kevin Samuels. And every now and then he'll do a video and would assess a young lady if they request it, right? But what he's doing here is actually exposing the major problem within men. We have men, we have men who, instead of raising the bar in their life in order to get the women that they want, instead of doing that, they would rather women dumb down their expectations so that they would be desired by those women. And Hafeez is like, no, whoa. We're trying to level you men up so that you can eventually get the women that you want. All right. The goal is not to take women's expectations and say, hey, your expectations are too high. Well, some women, let me not say all, some women, your expectations are here, right? But some women really need to dumb down their expectations because it's unrealistic. But if they have realistic expectations, right? And you have men out there who realistically can't meet those realistic expectations, they would get behind content like this, bash women, because they're not disciplined enough to get to that place, right? So they would rather just complain about these women. They're unrealistic, they're delusional. I'm a catch while you're playing video games. True story. If you go into the comments, I'm a guesstimate. About 80% of the comments that are negative on my channel are from men with gaming channels, or they got like a cartoon avatar as their channel icon, or they're gamers, or like, you mad at me because I'm exposing something. And the exposure is not to dumb you down, but to encourage you to be lifted up. And I think Hafeez is right now doing a good job with that, right? He's doing a good job encouraging men to level up, which is why I resubscribed to Homeboy's channel, because he's doing the right thing. And yes, hit that like button right now, please. Smash that like button right now. I'm going to see about if I could slow up the video just a little bit. I know it's going pretty fast. All right. Sorry, Black Light Revelation. Let's see if this will be better. Let's continue.
And to me, what blew my mind the most was when it came to the obesity thing. When people are like, oh, especially in the black community, black women are obese, and that's a problem, which is true. But then black men ain't that far away.
Now listen to the numbers.
It's like black women like 81, black men like 78.
The numbers.
It ain't like we crushing it, right? Yeah. So then I remember I was talking about women being overweight, and this guy was like, yeah, man, I went to his profile, and this dude was fat.
But you know where that comes from? Well, where that partially comes from.
Okay.
It comes from women downplaying the weight issue on the men's side. Women love to act like, well, they don't care about looks the way that we do, which I don't think they do. They don't care about it to our extent, right? But they do care about it. Because you'll see women say, oh, we don't mind if a man's fat. We love us a big guy. Yeah. And I always ask the question, then why aren't there strip clubs with fat boys? Like, why aren't male strip clubs hiring?
This is not an endorsement of any strip clubs. I do not endorse none of that. Just making sure that you guys know that.
Fat boys to entertain the women. If y'all love them so much, you know, if we were to survey overweight dudes, and especially survey an overweight dude who got in shape and ask him, when did you get more women? When did you have more opportunities? When you were overweight or when you were in shape? 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, they're going to say when they're in shape. But because this narrative is pushed that women don't care, men think it's not important. So even for me, I've had sessions with married couples where the dude is really out of shape, and I'll try to convince him to lose weight, and he's really like, for what? It doesn't matter. Like, they really think it's not an issue, so they don't count that against themselves when we have these discussions.
Now that's powerful. That's really powerful. And that's a great point. And so, like I was saying in my video, I was describing men who were in the best shape physically, men who were in the best shape emotionally, spiritually, and financially. That's what I was describing who was struggling, and we'll get into that later. But then I realized, I said, that's not most men. Like, that's not most men. And I think part of the conversation that is good for you and I to talk about when it comes to the quality, in regards to what women want, there's not a lot of men that women want. But also, according to what women want, there's not a lot of men. You know, hold on, am I saying this correctly?
Yeah, so according to what men want,
there's not a lot of women that
according
to what women want. Yeah, so there's a lack of quality people on both sides, right?
And let me end it there. Now, I'm gonna end it there. Now, if you followed the Roommates podcast, you'll see the growth of these brothers. Hafeez, keep doing your thing. Now, he is at a place now where he's able to identify the issues within both. What's going on, Jags? How you doing? Good to see you here. Right, he's at a place now where he's able to identify the issues that play within both sides of this the relationship spectrum, males and females. And I think dealing with people and humbling himself has got him to this place where now his channel's growing. He's not basing it on drama. In fact, some of his thumbnails were a little questionable for a little while too. I was like, bro, your thumbnail, what's up with you and the sheets? And either way, right? But the growth, his growth, I'm extremely impressed. And I shot, like, again, a couple of months ago, I would have been like, yeah, I don't know if it's in the best interest of men to watch Hafeez and the Roommates podcast. But watching his growth and watching how his level of humility is has grown, like, he's endorsable now. Now I can tell men, listen, this is a channel that you may want to check out, especially if you're a young man trying to find yourself. It's doing good. I was talking to I was watching Ruslan's interview with Hafeez, and Hafeez and Ruslan calling him out on certain things, and Hafeez was, not giving him pushback, but saying, yeah, you're right. Some of these things, and I was impressed by that, because one of the things that some men, especially in this YouTube space, struggle with is humility. Like, they don't like constructive criticism. They don't. Many of us don't. So whenever somebody has something to say about your content, you think it's an attack on you. It's not. It's not. It's about what you're presenting, right? And whenever I have posted videos about other people's content, people tend to come at me, ask me first off, who am I? I'm fully secure in who I am and my heart and why I do what I do. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I'm going to be doing it for the rest of my life. And I don't need you. I didn't need YouTube to do it before. I don't need YouTube to do it now, but I will be using YouTube to do it because it's a platform that will allow me to be able to spread positivity and encourage men to be men, and husbands to be husbands, and wives to be wives, and mothers to be mothers, and families to be families, and students to be students going forward. And Hafeez, and again, he has a much bigger platform than I do right now, but I am a little older than him, a lot older than him. But when I see young men like this using their platform now to spread positivity, when they have used their platform in the past to promote themselves only, and now it's being used to a place where they want to elevate the people in their community, I got to give them kudos. I got to give them kudos, because we live in a very selfish world. And when it comes to content creation, branding is very important. And with branding, a lot of times centers around the individual that's the face of the brand. So they think that they themselves are the brand, and because the brand is important, they become important. And because they're so important, they tend to think of themselves as more important than others, because they in a space where they're competing with others in the same genre. And I'm starting to see Hafeez leaving that competition stage. Not sure if he ever was. It seemed like it, but if he was, he's definitely not in it now. And he's at a comfortable place within himself where he's just trying to be himself, grow as an individual, as a man, and encourage other men to grow as well. A couple of months ago, I made this comment, and I'm gonna be honest. This comment was sort of directed at the roommates, where I said we have to be careful with crowning inexperienced young men to teach others about what it means to be a man. But now I have to retract and say Hafeez is on the right path. And if he is looking to bring others with him, then he's leading them in the right path at this specific moment. He just needs to be, he calls himself a Christian. I would encourage him to just have a little bit more of that in his content, so that people know the foundation of why he's doing what he's doing. But Hafeez, if you watch this, keep doing what you're doing, bro. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the work that you're doing. You don't know me, and that's fine. But from an older man who is a father 3 times over, a grandfather who's a husband, and who's a teacher, a full-time teacher, because I know you was in education for a little while yourself. Keep going, and make sure that your heart is always in the right place. The heart centered around serving men and seeing men improve as you improve yourself. A rising tide lifts all ships, and that's what it's all about. So I'm hoping that he rises. I'm hoping that he excels. I hope that he breaks barriers, and as he's doing it, he's improving the state of manhood, because manhood is in trouble. A lot of us don't want accountability. We lack it, and then when we're given accountability, we fight it. We don't want to grow. We want to survive. We want to exist. We want to exist. And it's not about existing anymore as men, especially as Black men. It's not about complaining about the females in our in our space. It's not about that anymore. It's about growth. It's about what do we need to do as men to get to the place where we want to be at, where we're not struggling anymore, where we're not fighting with our women, when we see challenges in our lives and we look to meet those challenges, when we're taking over our space and our economy, our neighborhoods, and being who we need to be in our families, in our communities, good fathers, good husbands, good productive citizens in our spaces. Like that's where we need to get to. We focus a lot about money. We focus a lot on money, right? Money is important. Money is important. But money is not the end all be all. Oh, you know what? I'll open up the line. I'll do that. I'll put this in the chat. And if you guys want to come up, you're more than welcome to. And we can have a discussion about it. And I'll even pin it. Let me pin this up there. If you guys want to join the discussion, there's the link. It should be there soon. If you don't see it already, and it's pinned. So yeah, man, join the discussion, right? But that's what we need, right? Men to really be men in this space. We say black men don't get respect. Let's be honest. Let's be completely objective. Black men don't get respect. If we don't, could it be that we haven't put ourselves in a position to be seen in a way that we demand the respect, right? But also, here's a flip side to that. I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about how media and how the public view presents us as black men. Do we do a great job with that? And then, do we encourage others to be better so that we're not seen in a negative way, and therefore respect is demanded, right? So, because here's the thing. When women want to get respect, they claim to work hard, they go to college and get degrees, and even still, they're not in the place where they want to be, but they put in the work so that people could respect them. As men, we need to be doing even more. If we want to be in that space where we're respected, we really need to put in the work and not say, well, I'm a man, so I deserve it. Because then we become just like the entitled people that we don't like. Like, we're not entitled, and we shouldn't be entitled at all. We shouldn't walk around life believing that we deserve anything. But if we're working for it and it's given to us, then we can say, I worked hard for this. I have it because I worked hard for it. What's going on, bro?
What's up, Drake? Good to be on a stream with you for once, man. I totally agree with everything that you're saying. And I think it's interesting how like a lot of these content creators are now kind of coming like full circle, and they're kind of like slowly easing into the kind of things that like people like us have been saying from the beginning. You know, it doesn't really solve a problem if you constantly focus on the other person. If you always work on trying to improve yourself, or if you work towards self-optimization or being the best you that you can be, then it kind of eliminates a lot of the problem, and it'll also change what you attract. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the bottom line. And I noticed that too, how a lot of those spaces are now coming around. Even the channels a couple of months ago, like a month and a half ago, that you and I had shared content about, right? You notice that even their content starting to change a little bit as well.
Yeah. Because the thing. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You can go.
I was just gonna say, because at the end of the day, if you're constantly critiquing other people, how are you making any improvement on yourself unless you're critiquing yourself as well? And I don't think that people should be overly critical of themselves, and I don't think that people should just allow other people to continue, operating in the world with flawed reasoning or flawed logic. But at the same time, if you have an internal locus of control and you understand how internal locus of control works, then you understand that the best way to control your environment or your outcomes is to control all the controllable aspects of your life, which is never controlling another person. It's always only controlling yourself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And that's key. Like, who am I? And how can I grow through this? And even still, like, if you have an opinion that you do want to give, right? Let's say there's a space, a channel out there, like let's use Hafeez for example, right? Where he sees a problem within a specific space. And that goes for me, that can go for you as well. And you can only see that problem in that space, not even identify the causes of it, possible causes of it, possible solutions from it. Then exactly what you're saying, you're perpetrating a problem, you're exploiting it, and it's not going to be good for you as a person, and you're going to attract those people that just want to hear what's negative about the people that don't give them the attention that they want.
Yeah, I agree. Like when you listen to a lot of those channels and you listen to the things that people are upset about, it makes you ask yourself, okay, well, I see that a lot of men are having a problem, and the problem that they're having seems to be with a specific kind of woman. But the problem is that they're so upset and so angry, so hurt and so lost by the experience that they had with that specific kind of woman that they tend to, anytime they're given a voice or anytime they're given a platform, we're going to lash out with a smear campaign like that's every single woman. And it's not. Now, the thing is you got to investigate all of the elements of anything that brought that relationship together. What brought that relationship together? Well, what is it that you were looking for? And also, what is it that you thought was acceptable? Now you have to go back and ask, well, why are all of these men looking for this specific trait? And why do you think that that's acceptable? And why are you not seeing those two combination things as a red flag instead of something to draw you to somebody? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or even something like, okay, maybe I need to level up some areas of my life so that I could meet, I've been hurt, and cause bro, like what he was talking about as far when it came to the men that were complaining about the women that he was talking about, right? About women not being marriageable, and how he went to their profiles and he saw that they were fat too, and there's spaces that exploit the delusion that women have about themselves, right? Those tend to get popular. Those will get backed by men who have been heartbroken, who are hurt, who have been turned down, who've been overlooked, right? And they're the ones rallying behind these people, making them gods in their spaces when they're home doing absolutely nothing behind a computer screen or a TV screen with their video games all day long. maybe, and I'm not trying to like come down on anybody,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and in their parents' basement, in their mid 30s to late 40s, they wasted their 20s, they're wasting their 30s and 40s, not doing anything. And I'm not saying that playing video games is wrong. Like I know grown men who are successful, who when they need to decompress and wind down, they'll get behind NBA Live, they'll put on some COD, as my kids will say it, and they'll get their game on, like escape life. I can't hate on that. But if you're complaining about a demographic of individuals who are overlooking you, right, because they have certain expectations that you don't meet, then you can't get mad at them because they have those expectations, unless it's, again, delusional. Because now what Hafeez is doing is taking a more balanced approach and exposing the delusion that us as men have. And I think that's important. So when I say like he's growing because now he has a more balanced approach to address the issue that's facing relationships, that's facing specifically people in the Black community. Why are our relationships so hurting? It's because our expectations are imbalanced.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I say this, I really do say this in love. We live we have a place where I think it's, I want to say it's up in the upper 80s or in the 70s of children in black families being born out of wedlock. That's a lot. And of those, about 70% of Black kids are being raised in single parent homes with the mother, which means that, and I'm about to step on some toes here, ladies. So I was bigging up Hafeez in a second, but this may step on some toes here. And I want you guys to look at this objectively, which means that the major influence in a lot of young men who are being raised in single parent homes is the single mother. Now, if we have, and this is objectively, hear me out, because I don't want people like, just hear me out, please. All right. If there's a problem with Black men today, objectively, we have to also point the finger at the very people who they spent the most time with growing up. So we live in a space where we don't like criticism. We want to be uplifted all the time. We want to be told how great we are, right? But what we don't like is constructive criticism that will help us improve in those areas that we lack. In fact, we don't want people to think that we lack at all. We lack at all. So now we have people like Hafeez, people like yourself, people like maybe me, Real Talk, and others who are on YouTube, who's using their social media platforms now to really elevate not just men, not just women, but people in general. And I think that when we have more content like this being put out there, we're going to see lives start to improve. People start to have a more logical approach to life and become less selfish, and more concerned about others. And I think that we need that. We need that.
Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of things people continue to perpetuate because they catch. You listen to a lot of this kind of content. People, they talk about the red pills and they talk about the black pills and, all of this different stuff. And, it's fun and it's cool because it's something that everybody can relate to. Like I said, when it comes to people dealing with relationships, there's a kind of progression that takes place, and it'd be interesting. I want to know if the people in the comments kind of agree, or am I just yapping and I don't know what I'm talking about. A lot of times what will happen is whether it's a man or a woman, they'll be in a relationship, the relationship will fail, they'll be upset, so they'll start trying to figure out why. One of the first kinds of content that people tend to come across is narcissism content and narcissistic abuse content. And because when people are in a situation where there's a lot of conflict, it's easy to feel that the person that you were in conflict with was a narcissist. And it's easy to feel like you were the one abused because you're feeling those hurt feelings from the failure of the relationship. So then from understanding the narcissism, you start branching out more. And the next elevation is red pill, blue pill, anti-male, anti-female content, because now it's like, now I see the root of the problem. The root of the problem is that I didn't understand this, quote, true nature of my relationship partner. All of this stuff is fine, you know what I'm saying? But the very problem is that if you're in a relationship is a union, an interaction, and transaction between one or more people. So you're examining everybody else, but you're not examining yourself. You know what I'm saying? So then you get to this red pill or, whatever black pill stage. And now you're just angry. You're angry because you feel like you found out about these truths that are fixed. And because, quote, these truths are fixed, then you're gaslighting yourself to say, well, you know what? It doesn't matter if I know this woman or not. This is the uncomfortable truth about the nature of women, when you're totally foregoing the fact that everybody is their own individual. So now you start justifying disgusting behavior on your own part. I'm going to do things like, talk to women. I'm going to do things like, just have meaningless relationships or meaningless intimacy. I'm going to do everything to self-satisfy because otherwise I'm just going to get hurt. Because if I try to open myself up to this person, the true nature of that person will damage me. Well, that's not true, because no one knows the true nature of people. Most people don't even know the true nature of themselves. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, like me, you never see me really advocating for any of this pill stuff. Now, some of the points that they make, some of the points make sense, and some of them, it is true. But as a whole, a lot of that stuff is toxic. And me, what I like to recommend is philosophies, more like stoicism. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody's familiar with stoicism, but in my opinion, stoicism is probably one of the best approaches to life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Explain what it is.
Well, what stoicism is basically, it's a philosophy, and I can't remember exactly who it was that created the philosophy. I can't think of the guy, but I actually did 2 or 3 in-depth videos on it on my channel. And what it says is that the only controllable element in the world is how you control yourself. And that means that you should always be working towards continuous improvement, and you should never have any expectations of outcomes outside of yourself. If you create something and people don't receive what you created as well as you'd expect them to, as long as you made a good quality creation, you completed your goal. And that's what you should put your faith into. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't worry about how others receive it. Same thing with money. Like I think the guy who started the Stoicism philosophies, he was sailing overseas and his boat ended up sinking to the bottom of the ocean, and he had all of his life's worth in it, and it was all gone. He survived, but it was all gone. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he could either spend the rest of his life upset because he lost all of his money because a storm or his boat failed, or he could know that he himself created that life worth, and that because he has that control and those talents, doesn't matter if the ship sank or not, he can make the same thing out of nothing anywhere. And if you can make the same thing out of nothing anywhere, that's where you want to be at in life, because at that point, money, relationships, none of that stuff matters. You yourself are the resource. So you got to make yourself the best resource that you can be. And then nothing else matters. Only what you do matters. And that Stoicism tends to go into the psychological philosophy of an internal locus of control. You know what I'm saying? And and the thing is that I think that most people in the world operate with an external focus of control. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Jigs. Zeno of Citium. That's it. That's the guy's name. Zeno of Citium. That's him. Yep.
Yeah.
So and I don't know how many people, you know, actually look into psychology, but if you actually look into psychology and you match it to what a lot of these dating coaches are saying today, you will see that a lot of the red pill and black pill, different things like that, they're basically perversions and misunderstandings and misquotations of psychological principles from like Freud, Piaget, Erickson, Maslow. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing is, when you take specific sayings and remove the context out of it, you can pretty much create whatever you want from whatever it is that anybody says.
Absolutely.
So so you can take whatever it is that you want. But that philosophy that you're speaking of, right? That's funny because I sort of never labeled it anything, but that's how I pretty much live my life.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like, so I can't control what I can't control. And if I can't control it, I'm not going to let the fact that I can't control it control me. So it is what it is. Like, so I hate to say it is what it is. And it could sound like very callous and cold. It's not that. I care. But if I have no control over it, I can't let it get to me.
Right.
So if I lose everything, like I did a couple of years ago, right? I lost it all. I could have very well continued on that spiral and just gave up on everything, gave up on life. And I came to the point where I was like, I can't control this. Like I can't. So I can only control what I control. And I can only control what I can control. And if again I can't, I'm not gonna let it get to me.
Facts. So now I'm curious, Dre, are you familiar with this? What the locus of control is? Yeah. I think that this would be something decent for your subscribers and anybody to look into. The main thing about it, like locus of control, is the degree to which people believe that they have, as opposed to external forces beyond their influence, to have control over the outcome or events in their lives. All right. And it's important. This is the important part here. Individuals with a strong internal locus of control believe that events in their lives are primarily a result of their own actions. For example, when receiving exam results, people with an internal locus of control tend to praise or blame themselves and their ability. People with a strong external locus of control tend to blame external factors such as the teacher or exam. So if we go off of a red pill principle that says relationships will ultimately fail because of the nature of women, what is that implying? Is that implying an internal locus of control, or is that implying an external locus of control?
When people, I'll say that last part again.
If we're going to go with a red pill philosophy that says that women have a fixed and unchangeable nature that doesn't allow for a healthy relationship, are you operating with an internal locus of control or an external locus of control?
External.
There you go. So you got to ask yourself, how is it that these philosophies how is it that they promote male empowerment when you're automatically submitting to an external locus of control? That's the question.
Yeah. And they won't, and they'll always, and that's actually a part of emotional intelligence, and being able to again be in a place where you can see issues, see problems, and be able to self-reflect. That allows them not to be able to self-reflect, point the problem at always somebody else. But in essence, you mentioned that the whole narcissistic nature that people tend to talk about quickly. But again, this is why people bring up that topic of narcissism within that space, because now they may not be, but if we're speaking honestly, when you have that external locus of control and you approach everything like the problem is always somebody else, it most likely will lead to a narcissistic introduction to a narcissistic type of lifestyle or thinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Explain that a little bit more. Why is that? That's a good point. That's an excellent point. And I think you should expand on that. That is absolutely true. If you are operating on an external locus of control, that is the precursor to a narcissism standard operating mode. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, it's because the problem can never be you. It's always somebody else. That means that in your space, in your sphere of influence, in your world, you can do no wrong. You are absolutely perfect, right? And you may not have any area that you need to grow in. It's about me. You need to respond to me the way I want to be responded to. And if you don't, then you're the problem. You're the problem.
Facts. And what's funny is a lot of the cardinal signs and a lot of the elements of narcissism, narcissists, they always tend to use the victim narrative.
Yeah.
The victim narrative. They're always the victim. Like you said, they can never do anything wrong. And then another thing that they do is during the discard stage, they do a lot of blame shifting. So these blame shifting things, what they mean is that if you're operating inside of an environment, it's always the environment causing harm to you and never you failing to interact properly or appropriately with the environment. That's important because a lot of us, and I wouldn't say that everybody is narcissistic, but I do believe that society is moving more towards a standard operating narcissistic philosophy for most people. So most people won't even recognize that they're being like that. But the thing is that people can be narcissistic. They don't have to be a, standard DSM-5 narcissist, but they can be narcissistic, or they can take a narcissistic approach to certain things. Every relationship that I'm in, I've just been victimized and abused so bad. Well, let's actually look at it. Let's look at the definition of the word abused. And let's actually see, well, did the events that took place in this relationship actually constitute as abuse, or was I lacking in some area? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Man, this is dope. All right. So when are we going live, bro?
Man,
I know it's on me. I'm asking you a question. I know it's completely my fault.
No, hey, listen, man, we all got busy lives. I know you got a busy life. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. The way that I look at it is we got every day until the moment before we die. So it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm down whenever. So, whenever you want to, I'm down. Yeah. But I think that we would definitely have like some good conversations, because like the thing is that with your academic background, you actually come from a place of where we can actually talk about this stuff using empirical evidence. And the problem is that when it comes to like a lot of these dating coaches, they'll just say something, and just because they said it, this is it. Women are miserable and they're going to die alone. I'll light my candle, spray my cologne, and, move on to the next live stream. Okay, well, let's actually examine that. Where is the evidence of this? Show me some case studies. I don't want to see any, whacked out callers who, happen to be a couple drinks deep that want to call in and, say stuff. Let's actually see this in practice. You know what I'm saying?
Or even beyond, the people that my clients have told me, because people tend to do that a lot also. My clients, based on my clients and the people that I've seen, this is what's happening. The problem is when you put yourself out there as something on social media, right? As you said before, right? What you put out, you're going to attract. So if you start bashing women, you're going to attract men who hate women.
There you go.
And 99% of the men that now are part of your clientele or have issues with women, and you're going to create a narrative saying, see, 100% of the men that I serve, think this about women. The reason why is because they go into you because you already stated that you hate women. But that's neither here nor there.
No, I mean, that is, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. And the interesting thing is, because like literally what you just said, that's how the artificial intelligence works. And that's how you get more pull concentrated into, you know what I'm saying, certain content. If you have a lot of people love to be gaslit. They don't know it, but they love to be gaslit, because gaslighting is false validation, and people love to be validated. You know, we have a lot of uncertainties about ourselves. We have a lot of things that we're not confident in. And, you know, there's nothing that makes people feel better than having their ego strokes slightly, sometimes a lot. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as it's accurate and as long as it's healthy. But if somebody is guiding you, you know, in a direction that's not optimal for your life, you may want to take a step back and see, well, does this actually make sense for my specific situation? A lot of times it doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true. We got somebody else coming in. What's going on, bro?
How you doing?
Good, man. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Watched you for a while, so it's pretty cool to be up here with you.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here, bro. Like the whole look, the bow tie look too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you ready for business? Let's get down to business.
Always. I really enjoy the conversation you guys are having here, especially when you were beginning with Hafeez, because he was someone that I very much looked up to when I first, started down this. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. You guys were in the middle of a conversation.
No. You're good.
He was actually one of the first people when I was kind of making a shift in my life to get a little bit more serious about where I want my future to be. And it was funny to hear you mention that he went through that dark period in time, I would say.
And I'm not sure if he acknowledges it, or if he realizes it, or if it is true. I just know that how it was presented, I was like, there's something he's going through, and I can see it.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree with that, because it was a huge shift in his content. That was around the time where his content was a lot more like, he was a lot more in the thumbnails, under the blanket with the bottle in his hand, or those stuff. You know, exactly. Yeah. And he was having all those moments, and I want to say it was around the time where Kevin Samuels really took off, and Fresh and Fit started out. And I noticed it wasn't just him, but it was a lot of the manosphere content. A lot of it became very heavy on women need to be doing better. And I think the big point that they missed is men are the leaders. If you as the guy aren't making the move, if you as the guy aren't committing, if you as a guy aren't doing what you need to do, you can complain all you want about the women. Women aren't going to choose you because you're not doing what you need to do. And after a while of watching that stuff, I even realized for myself I was becoming a lot more jaded. I had to step away from all of it. I was noticing and listen, I don't have a bad dating life, but when I realized I was becoming jaded towards women, I'm like, all right, this is coming from somewhere else that's not me. Yeah. You know, and a lot of that content, I'm glad a lot of it is changing now, but for a bit of time, it was just not pushing guys in the right direction. Yeah. And that's what I think of it.
Yeah. And I think there's a shift now where those channels now are seeing, I don't want to say the error of their ways, but they're starting to shift where now let's really focus on male improvement. Yes. Because we can't focus on male improvement by lowering the bar for the other side. Yeah. And I think that in every situation, like I'm in education, and what we're not going to do as teachers is, if this school excels academically and this school does not, we're not going to go to the school that's excelling and saying, hey guys, we need you guys to score less on your points so that this school can feel like they are doing something. You know, exactly. It doesn't. In fact, life itself doesn't really work that way. Yeah. So creating content to uplift men by bashing women. I don't want to say bashing women, but by speaking to women about how they need to lower their standards. Yeah, is sort of allowing us to say, yeah, man, we don't have to really raise our standards or raise the bar in anything, because they should want to be with us. And yeah, I think you're right. And now there's like yourself, there's a lot of young men who are looking for good content out there so that they can grow.
Yeah.
So they can grow. And mind you, a lot of these channels, I'm pretty sure they've helped a lot of men get out of debt. A lot of men get to a place where they can buy houses and be set up, start building wealth and things like that. But at the flip side, there's something that we really need to really focus on, and it's the character development of men.
Yes.
Character development of men. Because we can help them become rich, right? But no matter how much money you have, if you got a bad character, you're forever going to be poor. Like that's,
Yep.
and what we value is what's going to be promoted in the future. Like what we value is really what's going to be promoted.
Absolutely. That, like what you said, is perfect. It doesn't matter if you're financially rich and spiritually, and you have a bankrupt character. You know what I'm saying? So like, and it's interesting what you were talking about earlier about why these content creators are coming to somewhat of a full circle. I think it's because of the experience curve. There's only a certain amount of time that you can continue to say things until people start to recognize, well, I've been here for quite a while and I'm not really seeing anything different. And it's because of the experience curve. So, the experience curve is basically, it's a business model, but you can apply it to your real life. The experience curve argues that the more experience a business has in manufacturing a product, so, that will be a content creator in manufacturing healthy content for relationships, as well as it would be people manufacturing more healthy relationships, right? The more it can lower its cost. So that means when it comes to lowering the cost, we're talking about efficiency, optimization, and better outcomes. So you have to ask yourself, as time goes on, if I've been watching this stuff for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, let's take a look at the experience curve. Has anything significant changed in my life? Am I currently in a relationship, or is all I'm doing sitting around thinking of new negative things to say about women and about men who engage in relationships with women? So now here it says, as a company gains know-how, it gains in terms of labor efficiency, technology-driven learning, product efficiency, and shared experience to reduce the cost per unit as the cumulative volume of the production increases. So basically what they're saying is that over time, if you're doing the same activity, you should start doing that activity better, more efficiently, and you should have better results. So I got to ask everybody who watches those content creators who basically teach the woman hate, what results has watching that content done for you? How has it improved anything? A lot of times, most people, the only improvement that they have gotten from that content is that they watch that content and now understand that everybody is subject to criticism.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's as you was mentioning, that it sort of reminds me of car manufacturers and how they can make a car, right? Right. And when they make a car, the same, because we all know a car is a car, right? We know it's going to have sedans are going to have 4 doors, a trunk. It's going to be a sedan, but it changes after a couple of years. They change the body type, right? They're not going to make one car in like the same car that we were driving in 1980. We're not going to see that sold today. It's because things have changed, as you mentioned, except for the fact that the cost goes down because, they make cars more efficiently now and they driving up the price because it's more efficient. But what you were saying is throughout the years with the car manufacturers, cars are becoming more efficient, more reliable, more gas efficient. They started to see that fiberglass helps better with than metal, and putting styrofoam, which I can't stand, inside the bumpers and the fenders will help better, right? So as you were saying that, it sort of made me think of car manufacturers and that success curve and how they have to change things up because doing it the same way, right? And then looking at the results and saying, okay, I got the same kind of car, right? I'm still paying crazy amount of money in gas. I got to get an oil change every 1,000 miles. I need to know how I can make this better. So now cars today, right? You can get an oil change every 5,000 miles, right? Instead of, filling up your tank every 3 or 4 days, now you may be able to fill your tank up once a week.
And you can get that in cheap cars. You can get that in a Kia Forte.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and I think that we have to really judge the outcomes. And I think what we don't like to do is judge the outcome, because if we judge the outcome and we don't get the outcome we want, then what's going to happen is that we're going to go back to thinking about, well, why isn't it working out for me? And then it goes back to thinking, what's wrong with me and what do I need to improve? And again, some people don't want to do that. But the people that are in the YouTube space, but the people in these spaces, they understand that concept. So even if the viewers don't want to adhere to it, the people creating the content will. And because of that, they're going to change it so that they can eventually get the results that they want.
Can I pose a question to both of you?
Yeah.
Do you think men should get married at a younger age, earlier?
Good question. I'll take this first. I don't have a specific age range of when a person should or should not get married. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that a person's maturity will be the factor for that, and age is not a barometer for maturity. All right, I put that in my book. Shameless plug. All right, age is not a barometer for maturity. So there's some 21-year-olds men who are ready to be a husband, just like there may be some 21-year-old women who are ready to be a wife, who understands what it means to build a family, right? But then there are 41-year-old men and women who have no clue what it means to be married. I think the question, well, the answer to that is a person knows that they're ready for marriage when they're ready to be a husband and a father and build a life with someone. And when a woman is ready to do the same thing and not expect somebody else to take care of them. So it's a deep question. I don't think that there's an age, a minimum age, because again, we look at how marriage went throughout the years, right? In history, people back then were getting married younger. 2,000 years ago, it wouldn't be uncommon for a 14, 15, 16-year-old to be betrothed to be married, and then back then, divorce was almost unheard of. So it's not a matter of age, it's a matter of maturity. The problem is we have today with in modernism and as how we see it today, values haven't really grown, right, with our thinking and our physical. Men, young boys and young girls are developing faster, right? And even sometimes what they're exposed to cause them to think differently as a 15-year-old did 40 years ago. But at the same time, they're not thinking about the values as well. So when we have today a 21-year-old man and a 21-year-old woman, the reason why we question if they're ready to be married is because we don't know really what they value. What's their value? And the thing is, people do change. The downside of getting married young is you haven't fully come to yourself yet and come to know who you are. So getting married young could put you in a position where you turn 30 and you realize who you are at 30 is not who you are at 21. So this is a very nuanced conversation because, it's not really one specific factor, but I don't believe that there's an age limit for somebody to get married. Abide by the state laws. Let me say that. But I don't believe there's
put that disclaimer there, of course.
Yeah, disclaimer. but I firmly believe that it's a person's maturity and how they value what it means to be married that will make them ready or not ready to be married.
Well, my thing that I would say is when it comes to marriage, right? Before we go into anything about biological ages, the first thing that we should go into is what are the criterias of a healthy marriage? Because the thing is that we talked about that whole experience curve thing, and you talked about the cars being more efficient. Why are the cars being more efficient? The cars are being more efficient because I think the guy's name was Joseph Deming, or there was somebody who had like total quality management initiatives. So what they did was they had process management based on statistics to make the process as efficient as possible. And if you make the process as efficient as possible, then the products that come from the process will have less margin of error. So the reason why marriages fail is because there's a margin of error. There's something that men are doing wrong and there's something that women are doing wrong. So how do we decrease the variance and decrease the standard deviation on those errors that we make when we're going into our relationships? Because if we can decrease the mistakes and the errors made early, then that means that the process of marriage should go a little bit smoother. So in my opinion, I don't think that every person who goes into a relationship, for one, goes into it with the marriage mind state. For two, I don't even think that we have a universal or standardized mind state of marriage. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, you know, Dre is a Christian, right? So that makes it easier. See, like, I don't have really, you know, I'm not really into the religion or anything like that, but religion does have some excellent necessities, and it needs to be there. One of the things that does make it that does give it a reason to be there and a good necessity is because as long as we're operating from a pure and well-minded intent, religion gives a good guideline. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to Christianity, Christians in particular have specific things that come with marriage, and it's those vows. So if you come from that part of society like Dre, somebody who's a Christian, well, what do we look to in order to increase the quality of our marriages? Okay, well, we can look to what our vows are, and we get those vows from the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So you have a guideline. So if you're a Christian individual and you're looking to have a Christian marriage, how do we decrease the margin of error? Well, we make sure that both the man and the woman are committed to those vows. Yeah. And if you're totally committed to those vows, then that should decrease the probability of a divorce.
Which is why within Catholic churches, many Catholic churches will not do marriage until they have marriage counseling, so that they can identify what it is. And if the priest does not sign off on that marriage, it won't happen.
And that's good. That's absolute. And for Catholic people, that's exactly what they should do. And the thing is that when it comes to Catholics, they're also one of the religions that they have a lot of pushback when it comes to getting divorces, because the understanding is, well, you understood at the beginning that this was a lifetime commitment in this relation, in this culture. If you're a Catholic, if you practice Catholicism and you want to call yourself a Catholic, then that means that you've submitted yourself and your lifestyle to the guidance that the Catholic religion puts forward. Now, is that right for everybody? I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that if that's what you committed to, then you need to honor your commitment. And it's the same thing with the marriage. So that means that you need to follow the guidelines. So anything that's necessary, whether you need to talk to a clergy, whether you need to talk to a priest to get the proper guidance, you shouldn't just jump into divorce. What you should do is you should try to get the appropriate counseling. And if you're following religious guidelines, then that counseling will come from, you know, a religious higher up or a clergy. So that makes sense. And I think if more people did that, that at least puts a standard on it. So again, if we have a standard on it, that theoretically should decrease the margin of error, and it should make for healthier and longer lasting relationships.
Yeah, I wish I was gonna say, I wish that Christian fam can come on here too, because he has some dope insight about that as well. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
What I was gonna say is I want to throw a little bit of a different view here, because I'm someone who's trying to, I wouldn't say break into faith now and more spirituality. But when you come to things like when people, let's just say someone like me, the millennial generation, when we hear things like, oh, values, you got to work on your values before you're ready to get married. That sounds like a vague, ambiguous term. That sounds like, okay, there's a bunch of things that I have to work on internally that I now have to, I got a mental checklist that I don't know what's on that checklist before I'm able or eligible to get married. That just sounds.
Can I stop you right there?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Why is that? Why is your checklist of values vague and ambiguous?
Well, when you haven't grown up with how to properly pinpoint your own values, how can you now say? Essentially, it's I guess the best way I could put it is, when you have kids that are coming out of high school, from middle school to high school, and from high school now they have to make the biggest decision, which is pick a career path and stick to that, when 10 years ago they were barely able to form a coherent sentence. So when you're throwing too big of a task at someone that's not ready or hasn't really seen how it's done yet, some may pass, but I think a lot may fail at it.
But this is what I'm saying. Why haven't they seen that? They should have been in a household where they see that for 10 years.
Family structure.
So now you've actually answered the question. The problem is that when it comes to the way that a lot of millennials are being raised and grown up, they're lacking the essential elements, because I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. My father laid it out. My father laid out exactly what his expectations were. And even though I exceeded all of the expectations that my father had for me, that still wasn't good enough. My father expected me to be Superman. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is I knew exactly how to do it. It was laid out for me. And I had an example of that every day. I saw my dad going to work. I saw my dad taking care of the family. I saw my dad discipline me. My dad had expectations of what he expected for me in school academically. He showed me how I need to save money. He showed me and told me that an important thing in life was to have good credit. You know what I'm saying? He said, you need to start working on buying a house. One of the things that it was interesting, my mom and dad were married, and they still are married. But marriage was never something that my mom and dad told me about. But the thing is that I grew up in the household with them married. So I didn't need them to give me constant lessons about that, because I saw it every day. You see what I'm saying? So, and I'm not saying that to criticize you, CKQ, at all. The only thing that I'm saying is that what we need to do is that what you're saying, growing up in a different generation, these things are overwhelming. So that's what's changed over the generation. You wouldn't be as overwhelmed if you had, more complete instruction as you were growing up. You see what I'm saying?
You were saying something, a couple of things back. So, you go. I'm sorry about that.
No, go ahead. Because I'm not going to forget this point. So
Okay, good. You were saying something, a word, a little back earlier, which is why I decided to bring this point up. I think, yes, we didn't grow up in a good family structure. I grew up with a father in the house, but he did not teach me how to manage my money, the importance of credit, all of that stuff. I had to tank my credit. I had to get kicked out of the house. I had to go through bad stuff before I eventually pulled my life together. But I had to go through all those hardships. I think people generally go through hardships to learn that way. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to being in a pair with someone else, especially in this millennial generation, we have to learn something before we can even step into the role of all of our values, which is we have to learn what commitment is, what it actually truly means to be committed to someone else. So I was talking to a married lady the other day, and she was saying how prior to her being with her husband, they were kind of just screwing around, and it wasn't really going to be anything serious. And then she got pregnant. She gave him the opportunity to terminate the baby. What he said to her was, listen, I want to take care of you. I want to put everything I have into taking care of you and that baby. I want us to raise that family. And what that did was, in her head right there, she's like, wow, he really wants to try and do this. So now she shifted her whole mentality from I'm going to abort this baby to, okay, let's try to make this happen. What he did was he fully committed into that role of, hey, listen, we didn't plan for this, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of what I have to do. And as men, that's what we need to start doing. We need to start moving in that direction. Understanding that commitment is not, I'm going to swipe left, swipe right. This didn't work out for this first date, so I'm just going to go back to swiping left and swiping right. Yeah, we're too easy to quit jobs. We're too easy to walk away from relationships. We're too easy for everybody's a winner. Everybody gets a trophy, so everything you do isn't bad. No, the reality of the world is there are some things that are bad and there are some things that are good, and learning and understanding how to commit to the good things, even though it's going to be hard, is what's going to lead us to better marriages later on. A lot of us didn't grow up in a good family structure, but I think what we truly need to learn and understand now is what it takes for you to commit. I think once you're committing, values and everything like that, you can figure that out on the way. But if you're saying, okay, I'm not going to leave this no matter what. And guys, we don't listen. So even committing to listening to our wives, our spouses, is going to be one of the hardest things for us as well. Yeah. You know?
If I may, about the whole values thing, right? Everyone every single person starts developing a system of values from the time they are born based on their experiences. Everyone. The thing is, we think that people must share the same values. All right. So let's use that example that you just gave. Right.
Okay.
Young lady gets pregnant. Right. She's thinking about getting an abortion. Right.
Mm-hmm.
If he said, "Yeah, absolutely, go right ahead," and then his excuse was, we're still young, we don't have our life together. I still got to do me. You still got to do you. A child is going to hold us back. What do they value?
Their own selves.
Okay, so they have a value system.
Yeah.
Everybody has a system of values. Whether it doesn't, it may not look like ours, or it may not necessarily be healthy, but there's a system of values that they live by. Everybody has it. The question, it goes even deeper. What values should we have that will foster strong marriages is the question that we should be asking, right? Because we all have values. So now, now he says, you know what? We have this child coming. I make a commitment to be there for the child. We can probably safely assume that this man values family. Now, the thing is, it's developed based on our experiences. Now, for a man like me who grew up without his father, I value family and fatherhood because my father wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right. So now, because I know what it means to lack the male presence, right? I make sure that I'm present when I can be for my kids. Right. I mean, crying out loud, I was a single father for 11 years before I got remarried. Right.
Wow.
So, because I value family, but on the same token, this person's experience, right, could have gone the total opposite way. I grew up without a father, right? And now I'm about to be a father. Know what? You got to abort that baby. I don't know what it means to be a dad. Leave me alone. I didn't ask for this. It was just a hit and run. And, I just happened to get caught. Leave me alone. So we all have a system of values. The thing is, we have to ask ourselves is, what values do we need to start changing, implementing, so that we can have strong marriages, strong relationships going forward? And the thing is, the first value that we really need to sort of dumb down or dim is the value of self. Like, I want to do me, and start thinking, how can I do us? How can I do we? And yeah, that's my response to that. That Christian fam, Jermaine, what's going on, bro?
Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Good. So if you guys haven't subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, go open up a new tab, or after you're done watching this, I'm gonna leave a link in the description for everybody's channel. Please subscribe to everybody's channel, especially that Christian fam, because he has some dope content on there.
Yeah, man. Hey, I just want to jump on her real quick before we ate our little Sunday dinner down here in Dallas, Texas.
Please tell your wife I said thank you for allowing you to have the space to come on. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We got to take care of home team first.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I just wanted to speak really briefly on the subject of marriage. Is anybody else getting an echo?
No.
Okay. For some reason,
no, your audio sounds actually really good.
Really good. One of the things that I wanted to bring up about marriage was how I don't really think that, like you said, you can put an age on marriage. I think one of the things that we have a problem with, especially within the Black community, is we try to say that we need to have everything put together before we even consider marriage. And I know me personally, and with my wife, when she went to college, she saw classmates who didn't look like her, who were going off getting married in the summertime. But they didn't let that stop them from pursuing their degree. And so I don't think that, and then we try to get things together when we're 30, 35 years old, and we're already a decade behind other people. Mm-hmm. So I think it comes down to a mentality. If you're willing to, if you're mature enough to handle marriage and understand what that means, here in the Christian faith, we believe in a covenant agreement, and when we take those vows till death do we part, we took it serious. I got married when I was 23. My wife, she was 21, about to turn 22, and we knew fully well. Matter of fact, one of the bracelets I wear, it's inscripted with "till death do we part." We knew that it wasn't an 18-year bid. Like, you know, we're gonna have a child, and then when the child gets 18, get a divorce. We knew that it wasn't till, oh well, you know, I'm not feeling you. No, when we take those marriage vows, we understand the magnitude of it, and honestly, it takes a real grown up to be able to embrace that and say, you know, I'm still gonna go through with it. I think one of the problems what we have today is we don't have a baseline, like Black Light Revelations was saying. We don't have a baseline. Most people they're not even thinking about God when they make that commitment. So they want the covenant without that third strand. That third strand is God. And so we're not even thinking about God. So if we're not going to be committed to anybody, if we're not going to be committed to in our line of thinking, if we're not going to be willing to commit to a God, then how are we going to be willing to commit to a person? And so, you know, if we can't honor the same God that we say that we believe in, then that's not going to carry over into our marriage. And so I think that we need to, when we're talking about marriage, we need to address it with a level of maturity to where we know fully well what we're getting into. Listen, we got people who are 18 years old, they can go off to war. All right. And so it's the same thing with this. You don't have to be 30 years old because, like Dre said earlier, you know, he's met some people who were 40 and they act like they're maybe 20. You know, and I say it in the chat, I've met some wise men and I've met some old fools. I've met people who are in their 60s where they just don't have that maturity. And then I've met people who are like 22 and they sound like they're 42. So I think that we need to go back to, honestly, and like I said, if you're not a Christian, I know you may not ascribe to the Word of God, to the Bible, but that is our baseline, and it does bring a seriousness to it, because you're not only getting into a covenant agreement with the other person, you're also getting in a covenant agreement with God. And if you don't have that baseline to kind of hold you, because you're not going to be feeling your spouse 24/7, you're just not. If you lead all of your actions by emotions, then you're just going to fall astray. And to the point where Dre was talking about, like, coming into your own, that's part of it. Yeah. You know, you would be, and excuse my, for lack of a better term, but this is actually what they medically used to call it. You will be considered clinically retarded if you stayed the same way for 30 years. Everybody, it's a natural maturation process. Everybody's bound to change. My 20 don't look like my 30, and my 30 don't look like my 40. I just turned 40 this year. Listen, I just turned 40 this year, and if I was acting like I did when I was 20, you would think something was wrong with me. All right, but we're not called to be together, and marriage is not about being together. Well, so long as you don't change. No. No, that's part of it.
So long as you keep making me happy.
Yeah, exactly. There's no fault
stimulate me.
And, you know, irreconcilable differences. We just can't. This is one of the things that I believe that makes marriage so scary to people, is because you're called to grow with a person. You're called to grow with them. Meaning, as they evolve and they change, you might have to maneuver with them. And there's certain seasons that we live in. You know, there's a season where, hey, this thing in your lives may be up, and this area in your lives may be down, and then the next season it flips. But you know, that's why you need to make sure that you're with the right person, with someone who's willing to grow with you, because they're going to change, you're going to change, but we're called to be faithful to death. So
I think that you
say on that part,
man, you killed it. You killed it. The Christian. You killed it, the Christian fam, and I know it's part of the 10 Commandments for a Christian that thou shalt not kill, but you killed this, so you know what I'm saying. In your sinning, you did a great job. No, I'm just playing. I'm just messing with you, bro. But no, you actually bring out some excellent points, and like the thing is you were exactly congruent with what I was saying. The thing is you know, Dre had brought up the Catholics earlier, and you brought up the covenant, and that's the exact same thing that I'm saying. There's a standardized understanding. You go through that marriage counseling and see if you both are able to commit to that standardized understanding, and that should guide whether your marriage lasts or not. I think that what Dre said, what I said, and what you said, Christian Fam Channel, it basically kind of exploited what CKQ identified as one of the things that is lacking with a lot of millennials. Whether it's Christianity, whether it's a culture, whatever it is, there's no standardized norm that tells you exactly what you need to do to perform in a marriage.
But there is a standardized norm now, and it doesn't really help with marriage. And that's, I need to do me first. I need to do whatever it takes to make me happy.
Standardize what
so
the word
that's
is.
do
what thou wilt. And you
that's
actually spoke to it. I don't want to jump on it, but you spoke to it a little earlier. It's do what thou wilt. Eat, drink, and be merry. Whatever goes, goes. Whatever happens, happens. We don't believe in, we don't ascribe to que sera, sera. Que sera, sera means whatever will be, will be. And we disagree with that. Like, I don't ascribe to that at all. I believe that we can control some things. I believe that we can pray about some things. And I believe that it doesn't have to be all up in the air, because one of the things Dre mentioned earlier, is I'm gonna do me. And me and my wife, we hate that saying. That came out, I think, about like 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. The reason why I'm gonna do me is so problematic to me, in our eyes, is because if everybody did them, we would be in a horrible state. And that's exactly why we're in this horrible state now. Facts. Everybody's doing them. Whatever feels good to me, whatever makes me happy. And most of the time when people say, hey, I'm gonna just do me,
immediate gratification.
Got to get it by hook or by crook. At the end of the day, as long as I'm happy at the end of the night, I don't care who I had to rob from, who I had to steal or kill. As long as I can lay my head on the pillow at night and feel good about doing me, then that's all that matters. Well, if we all want to be like that, I know that, you know, a lot of people don't want to ascribe to the church and ascribe to Christianity, but if we all wanted to just be like that, I'm gonna just do me and whatever makes me feel happy, it would be a lot worse.
What I was gonna say is
right now. So I thank God for some people who are holding it down, who are actually ascribing to some type of discipline to someone bigger than them and not to themselves, because you cannot make yourself the be all and end all at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, what you're describing for the Christian brothers and sisters is a pre-Sodom and Gomorrah environment.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, one of the scariest verses in the Bible is the last verse in Judges 21. The very last verse in Judges. In those days, there were no king in Israel, and everyone did what was right in his own eyes.
There you go.
Whatever it is that makes us happy, we will do. And if it affects somebody else, it doesn't really matter. And I think in today's day, we see that. So, and again, what we value, we all have a system of values, whether it's going to help us. Because the thing is, that system of value could make you rich, give you a lot of money. But that same system of values may not necessarily make you right with people, which means that you won't have a good relationship, right? So you need to value what's really important in life. So I could live life based on, I need to do me, which my brother hates, and I need to make sure that whatever it is that I do makes me happy. And whoever it is that I am involved with needs to make me happy as well, which makes it hard for people to make a commitment. By the way, I'm not Catholic. I'm Christian, like, you know, so I just use them as an example. But for people who live like that, there's no other standard outside of that. So now I judge the world based on how I'm feeling at a specific moment, or how that individual or situation makes me feel, which is why millennials struggle with keeping jobs, right? Which is why.
Are you talking about millennials or zennials or both?
Both.
Okay. Zennials are worse, but I would say both.
Yeah.
Zennials off the chain. I love them, but they off the chain. If you're under 26, you're off the chain.
Yeah. So now it's I need to make sure that I have as much happiness as I can without doing the most work that I need to get the happiness. So and it's problematic. So now everybody did what was right in their own eyes. It's like the purge. You know, we're living in a real life purge, and people aren't going around killing each other, but they're doing whatever it is that make them happy, and it can kill somebody else's countenance. They really don't care. So Zennials and millennials can get into marriages and say, you know what, this person doesn't make me happy anymore. They're going to surround themselves around the same kind of people that think the same way and justify, I don't want to be with you anymore. You know,
Yeah.
I don't, you know, where our parents will probably tell us, you need to work this out. The most important thing is your family. Today, you don't have to work that out. You got kids, who cares? You can still be in a kid's life. You don't have to work that out. Your happiness is the most important thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of marriages and a lot of families getting sacrificed on the altar of happiness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
and then they wind up finding out, I'm not happy after that, and I should have probably stayed in this situation.
It's a cycle. It's going to keep happening with a different person, just a new face.
Yeah. A big portion of people that regret their divorce after it's over. Huge portion of people.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring up a different point, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Going back to the idea of, you know, what I asked earlier, men getting married younger, or starting relationships, even men and women getting together younger and committing to each other till later on. Because right now, a lot of the times you hear guys should be just kind of like, you know, from your 20s to your 30s, you should just kind of be chasing your bag and just really sleeping around. What I say to that is, you're telling, a relationship is one of the hardest things you could do. Committing to someone else. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are all married, and you guys probably tell me that it's not easy to be with just one person. You got to work at it. There's work. So now if you're telling a guy from your 20s to your 30s, don't ever even practice committing to someone. But then when you hit 30, when you have all your money, now magically snap and become this monogamous person out of nowhere. We've never practiced it for a decade. I don't think that's really the best idea for men. And then even for our daughters, what are we telling them? Okay, try to get a guy that's older to marry you. Mm-hmm. That if you weren't with him from the jump while he was building, you really think he's going to care anything about what you say? What am I telling my daughter? Like, why would I tell her to, as opposed to grind out with this person while he's at the bottom, because he's going to respect you much more when you were with him through all of that, as opposed to get with some guy who's rich because he could take care of you, but he's not really going to care at all what you think. You're just another chick on his arm. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not saying that's all people that gain their wealth, but for the most part, let's be real. If a girl wasn't there with us from the beginning, why am I really gonna? I don't hold it to the same standard as someone that was there with me from the bottom. They don't get the same kind of respect. They both get respect, but it's not the same level.
Yeah. So you're saying that if you were able to find somebody younger and build with
both
them,
people, yes, and both people commit to each other and commit to growing with each other. Then it's going to be a much different, hey, listen, the divorce is still happening. I'm not saying it's impossible, but there's going to be a lot more respect and a lot more foundation built that. And if you guys are actually communicating through that whole process, there's going to be a lot more respect and foundation built that divorce might be a little tougher. And even if it does happen, it's going to be a lot more amicable, as opposed to get my money later on and then I'll pick a chick after I've never worked on being monogamous. And then let's hope for the best, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Marriage is not magic. Like if you don't practice being sexually disciplined going into marriage, you're gonna be hard pressed to have that discipline that you never had, and all of a sudden have it because you put a ring on your finger. Like, it's not a magic elixir or anything like that. So I do think it's problematic to say, hey, you know what, just sleep around until you get 35 or 32, 33 or whatever. And then when you find that one, then go ahead, settle down. And vice versa.
Magically, you can settle down. It's like,
just magically settle down. I mean, it's a discipline that you have to like kind of master before you even get into the marriage. I'm not saying that we need to be cookie cutter perfect people, but there are certain disciplines that we need to be able to exercise, because if we're not disciplined before we're married, don't expect this marriage to just all of a sudden become disciplined, because then what's going to happen, what oftentimes happens, is you become very resentful to the other person, because now that other person, instead of, in a man's case, the woman becomes your mama, like some ball, and then this whole stereotypical ball and chain syndrome that we have, or this stigma we have about marriage, ball and chain. Oh, well, I can't do it because I'm married. No, you can't do it because you just shouldn't be doing it anyway. Forget about the marriage. Well, bruh, I got to go home to my old lady. No, bruh, you shouldn't do it simply because it's not wise. I'm going to bring up case in point with this. The word of God talks about not having sex outside of marriage. All right. Now, we know, as Christians, we believe, hey, listen, just don't do it because God says not to do it. But here's the thing. There's a very practical, and I talk about this on our channel, there's a fundamental and practical reason that's a universal principle as to why God says not to do that. Well, because for one, you run the risk of having multiple families in multiple households, dividing your income up against multiple households. So instead of having just one household you have to take care of, there's one household, two households, three households you have to take care of. How can you build wealth? How can you level up? How can you be the man that God is calling you to be if you're having to take care of three different households? So that's a very practical way of looking at why God talks about not having sex outside of marriage. And
Quickly,
another way,
which was why I pushed back against the talking points of the red pill and manosphere, because that whole high value men argument and seeing women as bodies, you risk. So you can't be a high value man and risk your high value sleeping around with other women. It just can't happen. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly too. And so there's other reasons too when we're talking about soul ties and stuff like that. Like, there's a reason why, because honestly, the more partners you remember most of the partners that you sleep with. All right. And so what happens is when you get married, some of those expectations and some of those fulfillments, you take that into the marriage with you. And so right or wrong, that's what happens. And so there's reasons why if you go into the marriage not being active, well, you have no one to compare your spouse to. Your spouse is not constantly battling with a ghost that you have in your mind. And I know that's the ideal world, but listen, this is what the Bible encourages. Now, does that happen? A lot of times, of course, that does not happen, but there's a reason why it says what it says. It's not because we have this mean God that hates us. Is that we have a God that's trying to love us, that loves us, and is trying to set us up for success here on earth. So those are very practical reasons why you shouldn't have sex outside of marriage. Not simply because he's this mean God that just hates us and doesn't want us to have fun. In fact, it's quite the opposite. He wants us to have fun in the confines or in the bounds of marriage, because they can get it's fun being married.
And I think amen. And I think that that's extremely important. Since we're going to go there real quick about biblical guidelines and how some people perceive it as rules that we can't follow, that we're supposed to follow, like rules, instead of looking at it as what's the reason why the Bible says not to do this. Is there a reason? Is it just because I want to be as religious as I can be, so I'm not going to engage in it because I want to be religious, or I'm not going to engage in it because of the practical reasons why the Bible says not to? And I think what you did right now is took the perception of religiosity out of this conversation and went into a purposeful approach to why it's in there in the first place. The reason why, so like it's a whole question about the whys and the whats, right?
Yeah.
We focus on what we can't do, but we don't think about why we shouldn't do it. So when even my kids, all right, I tell them, no, you cannot do that. Their only concern is, wait a minute, what do you mean I can't do this? What do you mean? Right? But then if we ask the question, well, why can't I do that? Well, the reason why is it's going to For this reason, it's not good that you do this. Now understand, once you know the whys and you still do the what, right? And then you have the consequences, that already discussed the whys, the whys that discuss the consequences, you know, like you made the decision yourself and now you got to live with the consequences. Right. But if you can avoid the consequences by asking and adhering to the whys first, and then saying, okay, I'm not going to do the what because I already know the why, then we can look at faith extremely differently, more practical, instead of as you were saying, like a mean God telling us what to do and what not to do and controlling us with puppet strings.
Yeah,
but we can go even deeper with that in a later. Actually, a live stream, bro.
That's members, man. That's members only content, right? That's members only content. You listen. You need somebody that doesn't. You need somebody that has no morals and no conscience up here to help to balance things out.
You know, facts. Yeah, man.
Y'all salute. I gotta jump off and get ready for this fried chicken because.
Oh, fried chicken?
No, why did you throw that out there?
How long is it going to take me to get to Texas?
Right. That's what I'm saying. You're going to throw out the fried chicken knowing we've been up here for an hour and we all hungry.
Yeah, and we know like food in Texas is way different. Like everything is done bigger and better in Texas. So it's not just fried chicken. It's seasoned nicely with, you know what, I'm on my way.
Yeah, I was about to say, and then here you go, Dre. You instigating. Yeah, you know, it's just a garlic sauce.
Season it the day before. Season it the day before. Don't do it before you.
And they season it. They let it marinate. Gosh, man, coming over.
All right, man. Salute to y'all. God bless.
All right, thank you so much for coming.
Before you get off, Christian fan, I'm just letting you know because of you, I'm about to go get some Boston Market. Thanks, Christian fam and Dre. Appreciate y'all, brothers.
All right, bro. Yeah, and actually, I'm about to get off too. I'm on this like a whole almost hour than I had planned to be. But my brothers, thank you guys so much, gentlemen, for being on. Thank you. I appreciate it, Jermaine. We'll be in touch soon.
Yeah.
But I do want to bring it back to the topic at hand, right? About Hafeez, and since you guys are still here, I do want to. If he's not going to watch this, and if he does, listen, bro, keep doing what you're doing and keep growing. All right, you're not where you need to be, but you're definitely not where you were. So keep growing, and I think that somebody's playing. I hear a plane going.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
no, it's cool, bro. It's cool. Wish I was on it going somewhere. No, actually, that plane sounds like it's actually coming. Sounds like it's landing, but I think we all have to to get to a place where we're looking to grow. And I've been blamed for without evidence that I'm just a hater and things like that, based on like 2 videos that I came out with, not necessarily speaking against an individual, but claiming that I don't agree with everything that a specific person says. And I think that no one should agree with everything a person says. I mean, they can, but they got to think critically about what people say. And I'll always encourage that, and I won't apologize for that. And I'll also think critically about Hafeez going forward as I was in the past. But I do appreciate seeing his growth, seeing where he is today, and I'm looking forward to see where he's going to grow tomorrow. And he's going to be in my prayers. I'm going to pray for him because I want to see young Black men win. I want to see them grow. And as they grow and improve, I want to see them encourage others to grow and improve as well. And these 2 brothers that are still on here with me, they're about the same thing as well. So if you're not subscribed to their channels, please go to their channels and check out their content. You're not going to find many people more logical than Rob, Black Light Revelations, on here. And I'm just newly familiar with CKQ podcast, but the fact that he has a bow tie on, you better go and subscribe to Homeboy.
Right.
Bro. No, but seriously, because we've been on a pod, the Battle of the Sexes together, right?
Candle V, yep.
Candle V's, yeah. So please go to this channel and check him out. And I really want to encourage you guys to just grow, and use Hafeez's experience too as well. And you guys want to close out with any final thoughts?
No, Dre, I just wanted to say. No, not at all. I just wanted to tell you I appreciate you letting me up on the panel, bro. I hope I hope I contributed in a positive way to this. And CKQ, it was nice to meet you. You know what I'm saying? You're an intelligent young man, and hopefully we'll encounter each other in the future. And for your subscribers, Dre, I appreciate them listening to my insights, bro. And I'm gonna hop off of here, man. I'm gonna let you go get your marinated chicken.
All right, bro.
All right, bro. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, I guess I really want to say the same thing. Thanks for having me up here. It was a great conversation. That's been something that's been weighing on my mind a lot, which is even like the whole men taking responsibility and the marriage talk when it comes to men. And I definitely want to be someone that's because I'm thinking of it that way, is being a little bit more serious and being a little bit more curious about the topic of marriage. And I think a lot of not just men, but women have to be as well. We have to be, we can't, marriage is something that we talk about, but we have to be a lot more curious and understanding of what actually goes into it. So I think this was a great conversation on it. I appreciate you having me on here for that.
And I thank you for bringing up the question, because it allowed us to go into that area and have a discussion about it. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
have a great day, all right? You enjoy that
Me too. I'm about to. All right, bro. All right, so now I'm about to end it, like I always do, with my music. I went on a little longer than I expected, but I appreciate it. Like, I like having conversations, live conversations with people from different walks of life, from the same walk of life, whether we agree or disagree. That's what it's about, and having respectful dialogue about any and everything. And today's live stream was really about Hafeez's growth in this YouTube space, and how far he's come and how far he's going to go. And a young brother, if you're still watching, keep going, reach for the stars, and listen, positively impact as many men as you can, as many men for Christ as you can. And I'm going to encourage you more to incorporate your faith in everything else that you do. And I think he's going to continue growing. He'll reach 1 million subs in no time. But listen, this is Harrison Family Vlogs. I am Dre. I really appreciate everyone for watching. If you have not done so, hit that like button right now. If you stayed all the way till the end and you have not hit that like button, you've wasted your time. Hit the like button right now. And if you've made it up to this point right now and have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now. Hit the bell notification next to it so it'll let you know when I upload new videos. Shout out to everybody who gave me a donation and a super chat. I really, really, really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much. It allows for this channel to keep going and for us to keep putting up positive content for people out there to watch. And yeah, I really appreciate it. And if you would like to continue supporting the channel financially, you can do so with a small monthly monetary donation by hitting the join button somewhere down below on the screen, and it'll you can sign up there at very low, inexpensive tiers that will help you support the channel every month. And yeah, without further ado, I greatly appreciate everyone for watching. And until the next upload or live stream, I'm out. Peace.